we've got new skill trees. Let's dive into this update. Oh. There is a lot to cover in the 2.14 update, so much so that apparently this is only part one of the blog posts, and there's more coming later. Apparently later this week. Let's just, there is a whole lot of information in this part one of the blog post. Huge disclaimer, I am not one of the people who is under an NDA, so anything that you hear that is not in the blog post is pure speculation. I know no more than any of you. I'm literally just going off the blog post, which, you know, because I'm not under NDA, I can say whatever I feel like. That's not actually true. I don't want to give you guys false information, but you get my point. I can speculate wildly. Make sure to head over to Witches Unite and watch Brita's video where she breaks down all of the stuff in the blog post. So 2.14 is going to introduce a system called SOS Task Force Appraisal, and that introduces the 4th level system in the game. Because we've got Wizarding XP, we've got Profession XP, and then we've got the individual ranks, each of the registry pages. Do I think that that little number is actually going to mean much? No, it's just gonna tell people kind of around how much of the skill tree that you've completed for the SOS Task Force Appraisal. It's gonna mean literally nothing other than, look, I've done some things. Looking at the screenshots of the game, it looks like the Calamity Essentials 1 task list has 168 lessons. The other cool thing about this appraisal system is that it will be available to players level 4 and above, and for all professions. It doesn't actually affect your profession, it's going to affect your actual gameplay rather than your challenge stuff, if that makes sense. Looking through how they talk about this and the overall skills that we are going to be getting, it feels more like an RNG patch than anything. It's basically just, you know, ticking up your chances of hitting a good spell cast and releasing it on when you spin that little digital wheel whenever you cast a spell. The first section that they talk about is called the Magicum Vitae. Literally, if you translate that from Latin, it's just life magic. And a huge part of that update is going to be the field charms. Field charms are gonna be so cool. 3 charms in all. The Trace Charm, the In Charm, and the Greenhouse Charm. We also get a bunch new skill nodes. These are things that are gonna be working in the background, much like the circle nodes on the profession tree, and then the charms are going to be like the square nodes on the profession tree. These are actual physical charms that you can cast, meanwhile everything else is just working in the background helping you out. Guess which ones I'm going to be prioritizing? Circle nodes! There are 4 circle nodes that come with this. It's going to be Departure Juvenile. There's going to be 2 different potion effects, boost strength or reduce brew time, and Mastery, which helps out with your spell power. First, we're gonna take the charms. First, there is the Trace Charm. Trace Charms reveals more traces around you. You cast it on an existing trace that has spawned, and then everything starts coming in. This works very similarly to the Trace Detection Tonic, where it only affects you. So if you want more of these, you have to cast it, and it only is going to show up for you. But I have questions. So 1, how long does it last? Does it have a cooldown? And 3, if I cast it at a trace from a Trace Detection Tonic, does it work or no? I feel like that's going to be a lot of experimentation, and we will find out. The second one is the In Charm, and that generates additional spell energy on the map that affects all players in the vicinity. So if you want to help your friends and your community, just cast that. My guess is once an inn has been affected, much like the slot being filled with the dark detectors, nobody else can cast it at that inn. Don't be that person who just hogs the inn. Don't be that person. With this, again, how long does it last? Is there a cooldown? And it's not going to affect like traces or anything, so you know, dark detectors are still going to be fine in those inns. Do any of these charms require spell energy to cast them? Are they going to require a lot of spell energy to cast? Oh. And the third charm is the Greenhouse Charm, which conjures more rare ingredients to start spawning for all the players. This again affects everybody on the map. You need more rare ingredients. That, I mean, honestly, that's probably going to be the one that I prioritize because I've got a greenhouse right there. The inns and the greenhouses appear to show when that spell has been cast on them. They kind of have like this weird sparkly glittery effect. So we'll be able to tell when these charms have been cast on those locations. Much similarly, how long does it last? What's the cooldown? How much spell energy does it cost to cast this? How frequently is this gonna cause things to spot? We're probably gonna have to run some tests. In the blog post, they do say to coordinate with other players. So obviously you're gonna have to talk to people if you're in an area where there's a lot of stuff going on. Then there's the skills. There's the departure denial, which makes it harder for foundables to depart from you. That's a circle node that is in the background. The 2 potions effects boost strength and reduce brew time. I'm really curious to see how much it boosts. We don't have the exact numbers, and how much it reduces the brew time. And then mastery is your spell power. Again, no idea how that works in the background. Don't have the numbers on that exactly. If you're overly cautious, you could save your resources and not upgrade these nodes until you know what direction to go down. There's bound to be a lot of people who are gonna break into the code, who are gonna figure out all these numbers. So if you're overly cautious, feel free to wait. And as soon as I have that information, I will make sure to share it with you. So make sure to hit the subscribe button. Shameless plug. And of course, with a new skill tree comes, guess what? New currencies. Matt called it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we get field guides, ministry manuals, and Defense Against the Dark Arts books. Future Editing Zoe coming at you with an update. So as for when the currencies drop and how they drop, we actually have something from the developers. Lola posted on Reddit today at around 11:30 in the morning. She says, get field guides for returning traces that you encounter on the map. High threat traces yield greater rewards and are more likely to reward field guides than low threats. Get ministry manuals by placing non-mystery images in the registry. Players must also prestige challenge family pages and update their frames to bronze or better, where placing images on those pages can reward ministry manuals. And restricted section books and Defense Against the Dark Art books are rare SOS training books. You can get these items by completing in-game event tasks that reward them. So there you go. We also have to use restricted section books in these skill trees, so save those RS books. I'm a little mad at myself for using some of my restricted section books. I use them on a second profession. I didn't think we were gonna need them. There is still no word on whether or not we're going to have a use for all of the excessive amounts of scrolls that we have been collecting. Brita in her video says that she has requested repeatedly for there to be a use for these things, and there still is not. But maybe there will in part 2 of this update. So that is just part 1 of this update. Future Editing Zoe, yet again, it's now Wednesday and they have released the second part of their blog update. And I don't know why that couldn't have been in the first update, because it sounded like they had more. It sounded like there was going to be more release of features, but this second blog update is just them justifying introducing the SOS training, which literally none of us needed. I like this update. It's fun. It's going to be really fun to learn these mechanics and to introduce these things into my gameplay. The 2 blogs did not need to be separated. I'm very confused as to why they separated the 2 updates. They literally did not need to be. You can go and watch a couple of other people's videos on that. It didn't need to be 2. It did not need to be 2. So I guess I'm probably not making 2 videos. I have a lot of questions here, just mostly to do with the overall numbers. We're gonna see how quickly or how often a lot of these new currencies drop, how effective these spells are going to be, and how effective the background things. It looks like on the skill tree, each and every potion has a node. It's laid out kind of weird. It might be going this way instead of down. That's what it looked like to me. I haven't gotten it in my hot little hands yet. One thing that I thought was really, really important this round is that for this update, they did push an in-game announcement. There was a push notification. It didn't just randomly show up in our SOS Task Force news. That's actually really, really good. But they need to keep doing this when something goes wrong, because they have not in the past. So those push notifications need to come through native on the app, because not everybody reads your blog. I know I am very much looking forward to seeing this and seeing what other news comes out. I want more potions. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What is your favorite part of this particular part of the update, and what are you hoping they announce later on, hopefully this week? Make sure that if you want to stay tuned for all of the things Blizzard Tonight related, you go ahead and smash the subscribe button below, or boop it, or tap it, or like do whatever, I don't know. And remember to smash a like on this video if I was at all helpful. I don't know if that's helpful at all. Remember that I love you always. Okay, bye.